Hi there, welcome to Gatsby Conf, and today we're going to be talking about using the power of Gatsby to create a network of blazing fast websites. So I believe we're here today to talk about the word performance. Performance is a word that you would have seen a lot about today, and it's a central theme to the future of the web. A quote we see a lot is over 50% of people will abandon a website if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. 3 seconds is not a lot of time, and we have to, as website creators, we have to do everything in our control to try and get the website loaded as fast as possible and interactive within that 3 seconds. In pursuit of pure performance, Gatsby has revitalized and reshaped my thinking and how we build and create websites, something I've been doing for close to 20 years now. So we're here today to talk about the birth of an idea. As the pandemic hit, my business partner challenged me to say we need to give away 5 websites to help businesses get online during these trying times. There was a lot going on. We started working remotely overnight. Clients were pausing services, and we had a lot to live up to in those times. So on top of this, delivering 5 websites was quite a tall task to try and deliver for me. But thinking about it, I knew something different had to be done. It almost immediately hit me that instead of trying to build 5 websites, let's try and build a platform that helps us create websites. It's really this that would help us deliver websites faster and more efficient for clients, not only the 5 clients we're trying to get online, but also for future clients that we're trying to build online presences for. We've built a number of Gatsby sites over the past couple of years and countless WordPress websites before that. Building sites for clients is nothing new for us, and delivering it in Gatsby has really been a game changer for us. But before I show you more about the platform that we ended up building, let me tell you a little bit more about who we actually are. Meet Big Brave, a strategic design firm. We partner with clients big and small to design and create human-centered brands, products, services, and systems that are effective, beautiful, and easy to use. We've built hundreds of websites, if not thousands, in the past for clients, each one being a custom requirement that we always do from start to finish to deliver a tailor-made solution for specific clients. Our journey with Gatsby started as we started looking for a new solution for the Big Brave digital websites towards the end of 2019. It was a time where we have been doing a lot of React work, but haven't really delved into the front-end website space, specifically SEO being a big challenge when delivering a native React solution into the browser. This is something where Gatsby allowed us to quickly pick that up. Within days, we were able to pick up the workflow with having React already built into the workflow, and Gatsby taking care of all the SEO and static rendered content for us was a no-brainer for us to switch over. From here on out, we were sold on the approach of using Gatsby as the main resource to deliver static websites with. It followed a very traditional software development lifecycle, starting from content gathering, UX design, UI design, going into back-end setup, front-end dev, mostly obviously in Gatsby, and then taking mobile and live data into consideration to pull in everything specific that we might need. This lifecycle typically spanned over a 4 to 6 week period, and it was custom and tailor-made for each and every client that we delivered a solution for. We had to do something better. A lot of projects were starting to repeat themselves, and it was just taking a lot of time getting each new client set up and onboarded. Something like a responsive mobile menu is something that we had to recode every single time for each new project, and even though we started building up our own little component library of components we can reuse across different projects, it still had some inherent sunk cost in terms of bringing it into the project, tailor making it for that specific solution, adapting to the brand, getting the data loaded up, dynamically linking it to a backend, all of that. And we were just wasting time on elements that would just repeat it across sites. On top of this inherent technical debt we found, I also soon realized that there's a clear separation in clients and budgets and projects that were starting to happen. Not all clients had the budgets needed to set up a complete static solution, although every single project had the inherent sunk cost of setting everything up from scratch. So there was this separation happening where a lot of the smaller clients, we were losing money, or we were either leaving money on the table by not servicing them, or we were adding a lot of additional value into the projects and essentially just burning hours at our own cost to deliver the solutions that we knew were possible. This all came at a time where we really wanted to use Gatsby and not really revert back to just building WordPress sites for these clients as well. So I knew we had to try and deliver something in a Gatsby static environment, but still be able to service all these smaller clients. This left us in a space where we had to make a call to either revert back to WordPress or find a solution where we can use Gatsby, the power, the performance, security, everything that comes with it, but use it for the smaller clients and be able to give solutions to them at a quick and rapid pace. So this really brings us to the question, like, why static? Why not just build small WordPress sites or build a network that we can run just off WordPress? So the key thing is, as I've explained, we've naturally made this transition to Gatsby with a lot of clients, and we really saw the benefits of that. As I mentioned earlier, I've been building websites for a long time as well, and the workflow within Gatsby in terms of from a UX design perspective, UI design, it really gives you complete freedom to create whatever you want, set it up exactly the way you want, and whatever you deliver is what you've come up with. It's not something that's predefined and you push into a box to try and deliver something. So using Gatsby comes with all the normal benefits. Performance is built in, scalability is affordable and instant, security by default, and accessibility by design. On top of this, there's something that's been catching my eye, and that's Google's Core Web Vitals that they introduced during 2020, and they actually confirmed that it will become a ranking factor from May 2021. Core Web Vitals are designed to measure how users experience the speed, responsiveness, and visual stability of a website. The top three ones that I've been keeping an eye on is largest contentful paint, first input delay, and cumulative layout shift, which are all things that Gatsby takes care of out of the box for us. So that's another big reason that we really wanted to build a platform on top of Gatsby that could leverage a lot of these things that kind of comes baked into the core solution. And you're building it with Gatsby that's made by a team that is also thinking about all these things. So increasingly, this is a fast-paced and complex field. As an agency, we build custom solutions for clients all the time. On average, we would spend over 200 hours delivering a custom solution for a specific client to measure up to all the expectations and standards that we want to try and bake into the solution. To me, it was clear that we needed a better way to bake in all these benefits of static sites with Gatsby for our lower end customers as well, without sacrificing the quality that we would normally put out to our clients. So all of this meant affordability for our clients and optimized workflows for our teams. Core Web Vitals help us ensure people get the most helpful and enjoyable experience from the website. This is something that we would strive for at Big Brave, delivering for our customers at every step of the way. I knew it was time that we needed to double down on a solution to be able to scale up. Being a designer, I started where I felt the most comfortable, creating a brand. Introducing Flexisite, the platform that helps you create the website you've always wanted without all the hassle. Once you're on board it, you never have to worry about routine maintenance, hosting, backup, or security again. We take care of all of that for you. What makes Flexisite unique is its modular system that it's built on. To get set up, you build your pages out of pre-existing components to quickly piece together your pages based on what content you would like to add. You can easily customize the look and feel of components and your overall site to suit your brand in terms of color, branding, fonts, and overall all aesthetic elements. So why not build your next site with a component-driven approach? All the websites we've built in the past were exactly that, custom websites. It meant that we had designers work on custom UX, UI solutions, go through rounds of iterations with clients, go to front-end development, back-ends being set up, everything time-consuming in its own space and time. We needed a better way to deliver this to our clients without sacrificing on the quality that we put out. So at this stage, it was just an idea. So the crux of my thinking was to create a modular system that allowed us to build up pages and blogs out of specific modules or components that could be pieced together to form any type of layout, but at the same time, take each component and allow the end user to customize that to their brand and styling to be able to create as many unique sites as possible with Flexisite. So because we've been doing this for a long time, we had some inherent market research baked in. So building a number of small websites for clients in the past, I knew there were a couple of pain points that always keep coming up. Number one is always hosting. Clients don't want to manage hosting, DNS, and all of that themselves. The second thing is backups. They want a reliable way to know that they have the security and peace of mind that the website is backed up in case anything goes wrong. The third thing is maintenance. Doing routine maintenance, even from a back-end perspective, is not something that clients really worry about often, and they want someone to just be able to take care of that for them. The fourth thing is security. Security is very important, and there's been a number of hacking attempts on WordPress sites, and WordPress has become unstable over time because it's so popular. The fifth thing is content changes. Clients want to be able to go into a backend and update content as and when they need it. They don't want to be tethered to a designer or developer to have to call when they just want to make simple text or image changes. And finally, there's a lot more small nuances about building a website and delivering that to clients that they just don't want to think about on a daily basis. They want to see the final product and have it as easy as possible to use when they want to make changes, and have it as fast as possible for their end users using their websites. So at Big Brave, we always lead with design. UX design as in what the solutions should be and how it should work, and UI design in terms of how it should look and feel. With Flexisite, the aim was always to create a tool that helps optimize the workflows within our teams. It's not necessarily a product that we want to put into the market that an end user can just sign up and use themselves, but it's rather a tool that helps optimize the way we deliver small websites to our clients. So with Flexisite, we try to make the value proposition as easy as possible. Flexisite enables you to create the website you've always wanted without all the hassle. Because of the way Flexisite has been built, it gives you all the benefits of the static site, as we've mentioned before, without all the hassle of setting everything up yourself for each and every single project. So enough about Flexisite for right now. Let's get back to our mission of building 5 free websites to help clients get onboarded during the pandemic. And let's see what type of outcome Flexisite has helped achieve for those clients. If we think about the development lifecycle we saw earlier, we can skip out most of those steps and only really worry about content collection and UI design, the 2 things that are really unique to each and every client. The rest of those processes is optimized via Flexisite, or it's things that we don't have to worry about on each and every deploy. So the previous lifecycle took about 4 weeks to complete. So with Flexisite, we've managed to bring this process down to 4 hours only. Technically, setting up a new Flexisite only takes minutes, and we're up and running and we have a Jamstack deployed on a hosting provider. Then it's just a process of creating the custom solutions around the clients, getting their branding in, content, photos, and all of that to capture their unique website for them. So just as a typical breakdown of what a 4-hour process would look like to put a Flexisite together, I've given you this pie chart just to show you that it's really creating pages, if there's blogs, their specific navigation, all of that really takes time. The little bits that we need to add in between for the custom environment variables or backend or hosting setup is really just connecting their DNS so that it's live on their domain. There's no intervention needed from a developer or really a designer at this point. Anyone can put together a Flexisite like this. If there's one thing I've learned from building hundreds of websites, it's each client and their requirements differ. Collecting the information, making sure we have all their branding, all the assets on file by the time we build the websites was crucial to getting Flexisites built up and running very quickly. We created something we call Production Week, which is really about collecting all the client's information, creating the Flexisites, and delivering that all within a Monday to Friday period. At Big Brave, we also run design sprints, so creating this deliverable piece of work within 1 week was nothing new to us. So back to actually building the Flexisite platform, there were a couple of key things we needed to get in place to deliver a solution of this magnitude. We needed a solid foundation to build on top of. We needed an easy way to add new sites. Just building one site at a time would not be good enough. We need a good CMS that people are familiar with and comfortable in capturing their content in. We need a way to configure a bunch of options to make each site as unique as possible. And because of the types of sites and clients we were targeting, we really needed to nail blogging, pages, and even a third type of custom post type that needed to be created for unique sites. And we needed some sort of back-end or serverless environment if we wanted to do things like capture form entries and just for future states where we might need something like authentications and logins and all of that. So coming from a product design roots, I built a number of design systems in the past. And I really took inspiration from how design systems are put together and made up. We always have typography or specific typography scale and the proportion that works together. We have a color palette that's unique in each design system. We have spacing and a grid structure, and we have different shapes and how things work. A lot of people often mistake design systems for just being a kit that helps you piece things together or a style guide. But in actual fact, a design system is a framework. It's a rule book, and ultimately it's what tells you how these patterns work together to form a cohesive whole, to form its own identity. So if we look at this as a quick example of the Flexisite backend, in each site we can completely customize the following. Typography scales, you can change the base, which is currently set at 16 pixels, to whatever you like to affect all the scales, or you can implicitly set this in pixel values. To make things more natural, our spacing scale was humanized by using terms like tight, snug, normal, relaxed, or loose. This meant that you don't need to be an expert in pixels or rems when capturing the sizes of fonts, but it could rather be set on the back end through a function. The plan with Flexisite is always to build out more templates that gives us more flexibility and appeal to more customers. When getting to future themes and templates, it also means that we can interpret those values to mean different things depending on the visual style of that specific theme. When creating Theme Flexi, the first theme to support this network of sites, I soon realized I had to think in boxes or components made up of its own content, layouts, and rules. What I meant by this is to think in the way that pages and layouts are built up in terms of being building blocks that are all flexible and can fit together. We focused on components spanning the whole row across the websites and be able to shift up and down and fit within the rows or content blocks that is above and below it. So when it comes to the structure of a component, they all span 100% width of their container to make it easy enough to just stack components on top of each other. Besides the actual content that goes into a component, we made provision to customize each component in a number of different ways. This could be set on a global settings level for all components to inherit on the whole site, or it could be overwritten on an individual component level. So looking at the first properties that we can customize on a specific component, we can customize the background image or color. We can change the text color of any elements within that component. Things like vertical spacing, controlling the space before or after itself in connection with the other modules around it. Internal layout options, where some components like text layouts are able to wrap into multiple columns, or your typical image text layout options. Variable width, so all elements could be laid out on a full width or a skinny width basis, and this is typically for when laying out something like text, where we need to be able to break the text without spanning the entire width. And some components we built template options for, so that we could completely customize what that design or aesthetic of that block looks like. So if you think of something like a testimonial block, we have one of 3 different styles that you could choose from to automatically adapt the content that's been captured. This is an ever-evolving system of components designed to work together to form complete page layouts. Some of the examples of components are things like page headers, sliders, hero headers, text blocks, benefits, button rows, stats, videos, testimonials, just to name a few. We currently have about 25 components making up the Flexisite system. So understanding the component-driven architecture helps us understand how pages are built up, but let's have a quick peek at what the overall platform and architecture behind that looks like. We've got a WordPress multi-site backend, which allows us to quickly and easily onboard new sites for new clients. We take all the configuration on that and push that to a single Gatsby code base, which takes all the configuration and compiles a new site for us. We push this through to Netlify, which handles the build process and hosting for us. Then we have a Firebase serverless environment setup that handles things like form entries and easily triggers email notifications through SendGrid on each new form entry. So with this, it helped us achieve a number of things. Firstly, don't repeat yourself. There's no need to repeat any design or custom dev patterns, as this has all been set up already. Rollouts, updates, bug fixes, and new feature enhancements to the whole network to benefit all sites. It helped us to empower our clients to be in control of their own static Gatsby sites through the CMS, empower all team members to create sites for clients, not just developers. It doesn't take a developer to spin up a Flexi site. As a matter of fact, we actually encourage designers to rather create Flexisite because they are the creative ones that can add images, colors, and all of that. Because of the pricing model, we built up annuity income rather than once-off projects. And lastly, the speed at which we can onboard new clients is the greatest optimization of all, going down from 4 weeks to just 4 hours. So just a couple of things we have on a roadmap that we still want to build out. As I've mentioned, we've got one essentially theme running on Flexisite called Theme Flexi. The idea would be to create more themes in future that are different aesthetically, but also has different key focuses and maybe target specific industries that we can roll that out into. We're also looking at more variations on the blocks, so giving clients more flexibility when choosing a specific block, that they can have different layouts that they can choose to easily differentiate them from anyone else using that same block. We're looking at e-commerce to handle online sales. And lastly, the WP Gatsby plugin is just about ready. I think it has launched. So we'll really like to explore the official solution from Gatsby to couple more deeply with WordPress, and even possibly looking at throwing in Gatsby Cloud in between to have a deeper coupling of WordPress and Gatsby as a whole solution. Next, I'd like to look at a couple of key challenges we faced while building this platform. The first thing I want to talk about is creating a changeable system, which is really where we leaned on our experience in creating design systems. And that's really just this idea of creating various design tokens, or in programmer language, variables that we can use to couple something aesthetic from design into a programmatic way that we can change systems and have the one affect the other. The next big challenge I want to talk about is colors. So normally in design system, we'll go out and plan all the different primary, secondary colors for clients, and we'll play with the luminosity in the color to create different shades that we can use for things like hover colors and all of that to create an overall UI that is aesthetically pleasing. So because I didn't really want the backend of Flexisite to have 20 different colors that you had to input, we really just created 2 key colors that you have to input with the Flexisite, a primary color and a secondary color. And then we create a bunch of shades and inverse colors programmatically for the clients. We have another function to determine the most accessible shade of text color to place on this newly generated color based on AAA standards from the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. The bottom line is we can put in 2 colors into Flexisite and the theme figures out the rest for us. The next thing I want to talk about is embedding dynamic typography. We allow customers to choose a bunch of Google fonts at this point, and from a performance perspective, we only want to embed the right fonts that they use on that specific site. Typography is an integral part of branding, and we wanted to support as many customizations in this area as possible. So a key function we had to develop was something that we called Needs Font Embed, which figures out which fonts actually needs to be embed and actually get the font embed code from Google Fonts. This allows us to only embed the key fonts that we're using on that specific site. The next thing I want to talk about is something I've alluded to before, and that's really creating an items custom post type. So the reason we found this important is a lot of customers said they have things like a portfolio or products or services they want to showcase, and we wanted an easy way for them to be able to capture that. So within WordPress, we created a custom post type called items, but even in WordPress, we allow the Flexisite admin to set a label for that. So it's rewritten on the back end as movies or products or services or whatever the customer wants to call it, and they're just capturing that content on WordPress. As we bring it across to Gatsby, we have a Gatsby node process that brings in that custom post type and creates pages for us. And a simple env variable allows us to rename that on the fly before we create the pages. The next thing I want to touch on is something that's always a challenge with Gatsby sites, and we decided to create a concrete solution, and that's real-time previews. We decided to hook into WordPress revisions to be able to pull in the latest revision. For those that's not sure or not aware, WordPress saves a version or a revision of each edit you do on the back end, and there's a way through GraphQL that you can access that to be able to pull in that revision. We essentially have a Apollo wrapper wrapped around the site, and with the simple addition of a query parameter, we can pick up if you want to be able to see the latest change or a specific revision, fetch the data from the GraphQL endpoints, and populate the page with that specific data. We also, a nice little trick we added, is to hijack all the preview buttons in WordPress and essentially swap out our front-end URL with the query param in place so that we can just preview the latest content before or without the need of actually doing a rebuild on Gatsby. So having WordPress as our central hub for all content, we wanted to couple it with Gatsby and the front-end solution as much as possible. For this reason, we decided to develop a couple of WordPress dashboard widgets that just helps the user get more information about their front-end websites. So the first one we created is a custom build status widget, which essentially just allows the customer to trigger new builds, see the real-time building status of their website, and just whenever there's information missing that we need to be able to connect to Netlify, it just tells them which information we still need to be able to do that. So fun little fact, because we love Gatsby and we love React so much, we actually built these dashboard widgets all in React and just mounted it into the dashboard widgets. The next widget we built was for form entries. Because we hand-rolled our own backend form solution, we needed a way to display all those entries to the user, as well as search for entries or download as CSVs. So there's a dashboard widget to quickly access any form entries on top of the email notifications you received. As I've mentioned before, configuring the sites are very integral to the Flexisite solution. We basically use environment variables to be able to configure a lot of things, and keeping that in sync with Netlify was a big challenge to try and make it as easy as possible for the client to access. So we created a dashboard widget to see all the environment variables that are available, to select and update any of those values that through the Netlify API, we're able to push to the hosting solution so that with each and every new build, it takes in the new changes for that specific site before it actually builds out the site. So facing all of this, we knew there was something radical had to be done, something we haven't really done before. And in hindsight, there are some key lessons that we can take away from this experience. First, I want to challenge you to always spend time to think upfront about the problem before just start delving into a solution. When faced with a problem to solve, always step back and spend some time just to think about your approach. Chances are you'll get a new perspective to reframe the problem and tackle it with the right approach. Coming from a design thinking background, this is something we take for granted, but I just thought I'll reiterate that. You can also think about it as a couple of degree change angle in hitting a golf ball. On the club's face, it has very little impact, but where the ball actually lands up has a massive impact. So it's sometimes just those small changes that has a big impact later on that we really need to think about. What we don't want at the end of the day is solving the wrong problem, because all we can hope for then is solving the wrong problem really well. Spending a small percentage of time up front helps us get the right perspective, and that will yield exponential returns down the path. The next thing I want to leave you with is to keep pushing. We have to adapt to times. Users want the same thing. They want to be able to get to a website and get the information they want as soon as possible. Innovation, experimentation, adaptation is what wins at the end of the day. If you build websites in today's ecosystem, what you can be sure of is that it's a world filled with the need to innovate and the need to adapt. The need to not fall in love with the past, but the need to embrace change. That is what will keep pushing the industry forward. We are in a fortunate position that companies like Gatsby are continuously pushing the edge of what's possible to help us dream up and create these type of solutions. Lastly, I want to challenge us to focus on the bigger picture rather than getting stuck on the parts of the solution. Let's not simply get stuck in how we build things, but take a page from the user experience playbook and keep things user-centered to always consider what users want out of the solutions we build. So in closing, there's a couple of things I want to leave you with today. And the first thing is to really challenge yourself. I want to applaud Kyle and the team from Gatsby on the bullish pursuits of always creating the future of the web and pushing the edge of innovation and what's possible. Without challenging ourselves, we would not be where we are today. No one asked me to create Flexisite or a platform to build websites. But without that challenge and drive to create something new, we would not be here today. But if we just keep doing the same thing we've always done, we would end up with the same results. So I want to challenge you to challenge yourself to create new solutions based on the same problems. I want to thank you for following along on the talk today. I really enjoyed putting it together, and I want to thank Kyle and the team for the opportunity to be part of GatsbyConf and the future of the web. I want to remind you that the future of the web is literally in your hands, so go out and create something amazing with Gatsby.